Good morning, hello and welcome to our webinar today, which will speak about firefighting pumps with our partners, Peerless. We have our guest speaker from USA who will join us after my short introduction, Mr. Sonny. I would like to welcome him and thank him for his time to give us this webinar regarding the firefighting pumps. I hope we can give you a nice information about firefighting in general and Peerless in particularly. So I will jump directly to my short presentation regarding introduction of JC YARED. As most of you know, JC YARED is one of the leading supplier in MEP in the region in Middle East. It is a company since 1861. We are proud that we have been very successful in Lebanon in the past decade, also with our partners from all over the world. We have also some reference projects that I would like to share with you. So in the region, not only in Lebanon, our first project for today, I would like to give you an insight of Misan Oil and Gas. This project for oil and gas was executed in Iraq. We supplied steel pipes, valves, and the project value was around $2 million. We go to Lebanon with the Ciel Jardin. It's a nice project, a twin tower style project. We supplied pipes, fittings, and valve. Also, one of our reference project and prestigious project is Beit Mizik. Also, we supplied pipes, fittings, and valves. American University of Beirut. This is a prestigious project for us as well. So we supplied pipes, we supplied PPR pipes and steel pipes. We supplied also fittings, grooved, and PPR. The consultant was Dar al Handasa. West Bekaa Water Network, this is a public project, also supplied manhole covers and pipes. The consultant as well is Dar al Handasa. We go now to Riyadh, where we recently were awarded a nice project called Boulevard Times Square. So this project is like a New York Times Square sample. So we succeeded to supply fans for that project to cool the screens. So the contractor was Sila, the consultant was Khatib Alami. So also we jumped to Ivory Coast, to Central Africa for this nice project as well, Adagio Novotel. The contractor is ACC and the consultant is Fuad Hanna. We supplied for now steel pipes and fittings. We are bidding for the pumps and Peerless pumps as well, for Grundfos normal pump and Peerless ULM pumps. We go to this nice project for UAE Embassy. And this project, I chose some couple of projects where Peerless and JC YARED jointly together, we succeed in be awarded of this project. The first one is UAE Embassy. Consultant is Pierre Damouz. The second one is City Development, where is the building of Touch mobile network. Contractor is Names, SEG, and consultant is Pierre Damouz. Also LAU Beirut, where we supplied ULFM Peerless as well. Also Middle East Training Center as well, we supplied our ULFM firefighting for this project. Site 278, where we supplied the 5 AEF 15 Peerless ULFM firefighting with the consultant Paul Sarkisian and owner Dani Gandour. So our suppliers network, because we have a wide range of products, are distributed all over the world, from North America to Europe to Far East, China, and Thailand, and many places. So we have all our supplier network distributed all over the world. Where we are present, for, as you all know, we are headquartered in Lebanon. we opened our branch in Ivory Coast. Now we have in Saudi Arabia recently we opened, and also in Iraq we have our offices there. So what we offer service and solution for different fields, from oil and gas to MEP contractors and consultants, to distribution, retail and wholesale, to infrastructure and service industry. What do we supply for this project? We supply valves, manhole covers, pipes, support and fixture, refrigeration systems, pumps, flanges, fans, of course, fire fighting pumps and normal pumps, fire system like steel pipes, groove fittings, and so on for the fire system. So I will go a little bit quick regarding this scope of supply for the HVAC system. Supplied many different products, multiple iron fittings, valves, balancing valves, flanges, and pumps. For the heating system, we supply also pumps, boiler and burners, radiators. Also for the firefighting system, we supply pumps ULFM, multiple iron fittings, grooved fittings ULFM, valve, brass, bronze, and cast iron, also ULFM. Flanges. For the plumbing, we supply pumps, malleable iron fittings, steel and plastic pipes, and brass valves. We would like to invite you to show our facility in Dikwani, in headquarters in Dikwani, where we have a top-notch warehouse, and we can show you our offices and our facility. You are most welcome. Thanks a lot for your listening and attendance today again. I will leave the floor to Mr. Sonny, and hope to see you at the end of the session as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for that introduction. We're very pleased, this afternoon to partner with JC YARED to, conduct this webinar on fire protection pumps. I'm just going to share my screen. So you guys know, my name is Sonny Okushe, and I'm the Vice President of International Sales. I'm a 30-year veteran of the fire pumps industry. And believe it or not, I've only ever worked for one company, and that's PEERLESS Pump, for about 32 years. I also have my colleague, Wajdi, who's based in Saudi Arabia. He's also online to help me along with our presentation today. So if at any point during the presentation, if you have a question, I'm sure you can either type your question, or you can leave it towards the end, and then we'll address your question. Okay, without much further ado, let's get started. Why do we need fire pumps? Everybody understands why we need fire pumps, but what I like to do is to give you an idea. Fire pumps are something that is kind of a mystery. People think about it, and why do we need that? But let me share a small video with you that's for about a minute, and let me know if you can hear the sound. And so that's a little introduction. That was that beautiful hotel, and everybody will remember the Address Hotel in Dubai that went up in smoke a few years ago. And it's a reminder that fire is really a very deadly element, and it kind of introduces why do we need fire pumps. And the reality about fire pumps is that we do need it to protect and save human lives and property. That's what it's designed for. It's also there such that before things escalate, fire pumps are there to make sure that things don't get worse. It catches a fire right at the beginning so things don't escalate. Imagine the address hotel that's worth billions of dollars to to erect and put up, and look at that fire. Just again, that's a lot of money that's got up in smoke. And if there was adequate fire protection for that building, there will be billions of dollars that could have been saved, and also human life as well. So talking about fire pumps, I'm not here to tell you about all different standards around the world. Of course, there are many, but there is one that is head and shoulders above everything else, and that's the NFPA 20 standards. That's the American standard. It's what all our fire pumps here in the US and PEERLESS Pump that we manufacture too. So my focus on this webinar is going to be talking basically about NFPA 20 standards. Okay. So I'm going to go through a couple of 3 slides on some preambles of NFPA 20. And if you guys are familiar with NFPA 20, it's just a refresher or a reminder. The authority having jurisdiction is the final habiter, somebody that has a final authority to accept a fire pump into a building or into a facility to make sure that the installation is correct. And so we need to understand who the authority having jurisdiction is. Okay, and we'll define that in a little bit. When we're talking about a fire pump being approved, that means it is acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction. Just for acronym, authority having jurisdiction, I might refer to that in the for the rest of the presentation as AHJ. Okay. So whenever you have an approved equipment, then that is acceptable to an AHJ. And any listed equipment basically is equipment or fire pumps that have been independently, looked at, tested by an organization, and the independent, like a ULFM that's published on a website. And it's also acceptable to authority having jurisdiction. And in the NFPA as well, there's a couple of things that we need to understand. There are some requirements that uses the word shall, which means that is mandatory. We have to do it. It is not, there is no deviations allowed. You have to follow whenever any one of the requirements says you shall do this. Fire pump shall do this. There is no deviation. You will follow that. And there are some areas where it tells you you should. Basically, it's recommended that you do it. It's not mandatory, but it is still recommended that you do it. Okay, so let's bear that into mind into this presentation. There's another thing that I wanted to touch on. Basically, that does NFPA itself list or approve fire pumps? And the answer basically is no, they do not. NFPA does not list or approve fire pumps. This is left to an independent authority to actually interpret and look at the Bible, the NFPA 20, and make sure that the pump manufacturer or the packager, complies with the requirements of NFPA 20. So equivalency, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. NFPA 20 is not there to prevent the use of any superior methods or devices or quality or strength or anything like that. However, authority having jurisdiction always has the final call. When there is ambiguity about what's required, the authority having jurisdiction always has the final call. Okay. In the fire pump, we make sure that all our fire pumps, they go through, a unit performance. I'm talking about the pump itself, and the NFPA 20 requires that the pump manufacturer, meaning PEERLESS Pump, we have the unit responsibility to make sure the pump works with the driver works with the controller, and all the accessory that comes with the fire pumps as well, they work together. So that onus is put on the fire pump by the code. We have to make sure that all the selections, they comply with the code, and they're in accordance with the right design requirements. Okay. So the last thing that I'll talk about a little bit on the preamble is you might get a little bit of discussion surrounding, well, I just want a pump as per NFPA 20, or we like to go NFPA 20 but FM and UL approved. When people talk about NFPA 20 or as per NFPA 20, there's usually a free interpretation. It doesn't guarantee that your pump meets requirement and or quality, or going through the required ISO strict process that the independent authority have made sure that these pumps, they're stress tested to meet their requirements. And but if you do have the sticker, the UL and the FM on your pump, you can be rest assured that the pumps are being stress tested and tested to the limit where the authority, the independent listing authority like FM, UL, or in another case ULC, which is for Canada, they've already seen the pump and they made sure that it complies fully to the requirements of the code. All right, having said that, those are just my my little preamble into that. Let's talk about PLS, PLS pumps. What can we offer you in terms of what we do? There are three different types of fire pumps that we make at PLS Pump. We have the horizontal split case, which is the majority of the pumps that we manufacture, is about 60%. And we have the vertical inline, about 25%, and then the vertical turbine. And for the purposes of this presentation, I'm not going to go into the intermediate or the advanced fire protection. I'm not talking about things like when you apply fire pumps into a classified zone, into things like that. So I'm going to stick with the basic. For basically, we're looking at the commercial building services, or at least a slight or medium industry application here. So our split case pumps, we have up to 5,000 gallons a minute, and the pressure goes up to 390 psi, and they're available in either electric or diesel drive. And our standard constructions are usually cast iron bronze fitted, but we can also have this in special materials, depends on the requirements. Outside of that, we can have them in nickel, aluminum, bronze, super duplex stainless steel, things like that. The inline pumps are pretty much an inline, very small. I think we have up to flow about 1500 GPM. This is really required when you really needed to save some space. They're intact, and they go up to 1500 GPM, up to 175 PSI. This might be ideal for like school settings and small applications like that, where you're really needing the space. Okay, they're mostly available in electric drive because they're inline. There's no diesel drive; it's only electric drive, and they're only available in standard materials like cast iron bronze fitted. They're not available in any other materials. Then we go to the other end of vertical turbine pumps. Again, we have up to 5,000 GPM. The reality is we can even do much bigger than that for these pumps. They go up to 510 PSI. They're available in either electric or diesel. Again, just like the horizontal pumps, we can also offer that in standard materials, which is cast iron bronze fitted, or in exotic materials like nickel, aluminum, bronze, or other stainless alloys like super duplex or duplex materials as well. So what are the, initially I mentioned SHA. NFPA 20 requires that any pump that be listed, this is the design, the basic design requirements. The shutoff head cannot be more than 140% of the design pressure. And you have to provide 100 design flow at 100% pressure, and at 150% flow, your pump cannot deliver less than 65% of the design head. And this is very important because this is the steepest shape the curve can have, but our curves at PLS is a lot more flatter. Especially when you're looking at inline pumps and split case pumps, Most of our shut off heads probably range between 110 and 120% of the design, which is very good for when you start looking at your piping pressure and things like that. It helps a lot in trying to minimize additional valves and things like that for pressure reducing. So that's the PEERLESS pump design. Every single pump code has to have a certified shop test, and a simple example is what I did put up on the screen right here, and it's required to make sure that the pump actually meets the requirement of the code before they leave our facility, and that's really what we have to do. Every single pump is tested before they leave the facility. Okay, let's talk about some basic fire pumps here. So you can have a design of a fire pump, so either from a contractor, and and we can give you a simple a diesel-driven unit, which would just be a diesel engine mounted on a skid with an electric, with the pump, and then you can have the diesel controller and other accessories shipped loose. It will be something like this. It's very simple. So most of the assembly is actually done on site. The customer has to connect that to their own piping. They have to look at the NFPA 20 connection to make sure that the minimum spacing, the isolation valve, the check valves, and the relief valves and things like these are all done at the job site. Okay, so that would be a diesel-driven unit. In short, then we can also have the electric-driven unit. In most cases, you usually have a duty and a standby, and the common methodology is to have electric as the main and the diesel as a backup. But in some other applications, I've seen that in the commercial building services, it is not uncommon to actually have two electric sets. You can have two electric sets where the customer may have a generator as a standby. So what you would do in that situation, you will have a transfer switch in your controller, so that when you do lose power, the transfer switch can switch off to the generator, and then you'll be able to power your pump. So that's also available. And in some other cases, we've seen people use two diesel sets. The diesel are independent of power. And so it's got a battery that can fire up the engine if you do lose power. So you can have one duty and one standby. So you can have electric diesel as a combination, or you can have two diesels, or you can have two electrics. So those are options available. But with a simple basic fire pumps, all the accessories that we will normally furnish with these pumps, they will be supplied loose. We're talking about casing relief valve, air release valve, pressure gauges, pilot operated relief valve, and flow meters, and things like this. All these things are going to be shipped loose. Like I said earlier on, the customer or the contractor have to put all these things together at the job site. So that's a basic diesel and electric motor driven unit. But PEERLESS can go one step further, if you guys understand. But before I talk about that, this would be like a basic. I had to put in here a basic installation of an electric fire pump. When I was talking about accessories earlier on, you can see that here is your fire pump electric motor. Here is your pump, and here's your isolation valve at the suction side of it. Here's a check valve on your discharge. Here's your bypass loop over here. This will be required in some areas where you have a suction pressure, you have a supply like from a city, like 50, 60 PSI. And the whole idea there is if you lose power in your pump, you can just bypass this, so your fire system will still at least have a 60 PSI going into it. And you have your electric controller, and you have a little jockey pump over here, and you have your test header here. So this is a simple installation, but what we will, when I was talking about basic supply, so PEERLESS pump will give you the electric pump and the motor on a skid. and the controller will be supply loose, the jockey pump will be supply loose, and then the contractor has to put everything together like this at the job site. Okay, so PEERLESS Pump can go one step further. We can do a little bit of a compact one where we'll give you an optional simplex open skid design. And in that design, I'm showing on the picture right here, it's a diesel pump with a jockey, with a relief valve, with an overflow cone, with the diesel tank, everything all compact. We've all done all that work for you. It's almost semi plug and play, meaning that you bring your suction piping into it and your discharge piping out. You plug in, your power onto the onto the controller to do your charger and charge your batteries. Everything is all done and ready to go. And you probably need to put some protection at the job site because NFPA requires that the minimum room temperature of the pump has to be 40 degrees Fahrenheit. 40 degrees Fahrenheit is roughly about, I think, 4 degrees centigrade, 4 or 5 degrees centigrade, if you need to interpret that. So PEERLESS Pump can also do the simplex package, makes it a lot easy on the contractor, the installing contractor, because they don't have to do a lot of the installation work. You can see here the relief valve and the jockey pump, and at the back is a diesel engine, and you got a fuel tank. So that's one option, and we can do this in the electric driven pump or in the vertical electric, vertical diesel. We can do the same sort of design. For the purposes of the timing on this, I could not show you all the variations that we have here, but at least you get the idea of having a simplex. We can do that. Open skid, we call this one. We can go one step further than simplex one and actually have the duty standby on the same skid. The skid just gets a little bit larger, right? And here's a picture that I'm showing there. You can see on the right-hand side here, that's the electric driven pump. This is the electric controller. On the left side, you can see the diesel engine, the diesel tank, and here's the diesel controller right here. And you can see a common suction piping over here for the electric. And the electric will run kind of clockwise because diesel only goes one way, and then all the discharge will be on the other side. So the customer basically has to bring in the common suction header onto this one when you get to the job site and bring the power in, and then you're good to go. You need to put this inside a pump house, or at least a form of a protection, like I said earlier on, to make sure that you're protecting the pump against ingress of dirt, moisture, snow, that type of stuff, and also keep the temperature inside the pump out to a minimum of 40 degrees Fahrenheit. We can even go one step further and make this into a little more complicated. And this is gets more complex, where we have like triplex, three simplex, and then we can have them all together. This is a situation where the customer will need 2 pumps as a duty pump, and then you need 1 as a standby. Now we have 3 pumps on the same skid, all fully done with all the piping all done. But we kind of broke them down into single units, but we will assemble them at the shop to make sure that all the 3 fit in with all the common header. You can see them, all the common header right here, and then we'll break them up. And then when you get to the job site, you can reinstall them. And this is one of the complex ones that we've done. So again, these are the things that we do. You can see the isolation valves right here, big ones, everything complying with the code. We can even go one step further. If you want us to do all of this and actually put everything inside an enclosure. Now, we can put a duplex package, an electric and a diesel drive inside an enclosure. It will have all the wiring, everything all done per NFPA code. And we ensure that, of course, the pump is protected from the elements like ice, snow, rain, all that type of stuff, dust. And you can see that he also has his own drain right here for when the pumps are running. You're going to have drain coming from your glands, and this is the one on the electric side, on the left side, on the other one on the electric. These are 2 electric driven units. So we can put that on a skid like that. And same design, you can see wheeled out. This one is a little more complex. It's actually got two doors. That's a requirement by the customer, and this is being wheeled to the job site. This is a cutout of another one, the vertical one, vertical pump inside a pump enclosure right there. Okay. So this is what it looks like inside, and this is what it looks like an installation at the job site. And I actually I'm one of the guys inside that, standing on that one. This is one of the ones that I visited the job site many years ago when I was a young engineer. So anyway, just another example. And okay, you can see the giant triplex system, 3 single individual fire pumps right there. The big tank that you're looking behind you, that is a water supply for the fire. It's a very big tank, and I don't know how many millions of gallons that is, but it's a big tank, and it actually supplies water onto the to the fire pump in case of any fire pump. This is actually in a refinery actually, so it does have a big water tank, water supply. So you will have heard of Walmart. Walmart is a global organization, supermarket chain, and we almost every 10 new Walmart stores that's launched there in the US, we probably supply 7 to 8 of those fire pumps to any Walmart store. So if you have a Walmart locality somewhere close to you, don't be surprised if you look behind what's going on in Walmart. There's a PEERLESS fire pump there protecting the assets of Walmart. It's a leading global supermarket chain, and we do supply a lot of fire pumps to Walmart. There's small variations in what they want, and you can see all these big nozzles up there. They wanted all that for the test head. We had to design that, but pretty good stuff for Walmart. Now, enough about fire pumps. What I also want to talk about is what is the next stage for fire pumps. PEERLESS Pump, we just launched a new remote fire monitoring in the marketplace called Fire Connect. There is no other monitoring system like this in the marketplace. And if we do get time, I can get online and actually go online and show you the live demo of some fire pumps that are installed at some various locations around the world. What you can get out of that. So basically, what is remote monitoring? Let's first of all look at the schematic. What is remote monitoring? Everybody knows that in your controller you have information that's kept there, but they're really passive because you have to go there, you got to put in your USB, you got to download the information, and then you're going to look at what happens. PEERLESS Pump, we're trying to change that because when a fire occurs, every single second counts. And what this does is to increase the reaction in actually fighting fire. So over here, you're looking at a schematic of a standard fire pump. You have your water supply coming into it. With this device, we will need a flow meter at the suction side of it. We need a minimum of 5 straight pipe runs before the flow meter and 2 straight pipe runs before your isolation valve. You will need a gateway. So Fire Connect has its own little controller. It's just like a control panel as well. That's a gateway that actually communicates to the cloud. Everything it's communicated to the cloud. But from your jockey controller and your fire pump controller, there is an option there that we will wire directly into the gateway. And also you have your pressure transducer on the suction side to give us some information. And on the water tank, you can put a pressure transducer on your water tank as well to give you some level. So it's a fairly simple device to install, but let's get into it about what it is. So this is something that you can download on your app and actually look at your app, or you can look at it on your laptop or your desktop. and it provides real-time monitoring of your fire pump every single millisecond of the day. You can basically know what's going on with your fire pump. So the whole idea is you diagnose before you dispatch somebody to the fire pump or to the site, and then it improves the emergency response in case of a fire because you have all kinds of data. The pump can tell you a lot of information about what's going on with your fire, and it increases building safety. And finally, it gives you peace of mind. These are the things that we think these latest innovation brings into the fire pump market. And you can think about it, when you have an organization, let's even take a global organization like Walmart, for instance. Walmart has so many stores around the country and globally. And I'll talk about multiple stuff in just a little bit, but you will have, if you have all the systems in all those places, you will have a situation where you have a central repository of information and your chief fire or global fire officer can actually see what's going on around all the fire stations around the world at once, if he wants to. All right. So if you look at your app, once you select the site, this is what you're going to be seeing. You're going to look, it will tell you second by second what your suction pressure is, what your discharge pressure is. Anything that's green means it's good. You don't need to worry about that. And it will give you some information about what transpired. If you want to look at all the information, it will tell you when jockey pump stopped, when it ran, and how long it ran for. And you can see that it says jockey power available and jockey switch in auto. Very good. These are all good information that you can say, okay, yeah, my fire pump is ready to go in case of a fire. It's just right there. So you can see your system pressure there at 128 psi. Your suction is 4.42, and there's no flow going there. So this is probably like a 500 gallon a minute pump. Okay, so all is good. You can also get additional information if you can download some information over as far back as you want, 6 months, 7 months, a year, and it can tell you what's been going on in the fire pump room, when the jockey pump is starting, when it's stopping, when the actual pump is starting, when it stopped, or the frequency of the jockey pump starting and stopping and things like this. This basically tells you what's going on. If your jockey pump is starting very often, like 2-3 times every minute, and that probably tells you that you have a leak in the system. So you really want to fix that before the problem gets bigger. And what I've also done here, I looked at the last 9 months on this particular sequence. You can see that everything looks normal. There's this particular data, something happened and you're flowing a lot of water, okay? You can see all these blue things are the flow that's going on through the system, and this particular day, something happened. And it may well be somebody accidentally opened the hose valve and they were using that to wet their lawns or something like that. But the pump wouldn't know any different because when you open a hose valve, it thinks there's a fire. The pressure drops in the system and the jockey pump can't cope. Then the main fire pump opens up. So you can really see that. And it's available every time you have an incident. It is a live information to all the users that you want in the system. You send them a text message, you will send them an email, real time to let them know that, hey, your jockey pump is started. So it started. If your jockey pump didn't stop in 2 or 3 minutes, why? Okay. And you can go back on your live app and see that the jockey pump continues to run. Or if it continues to run and then the main fire pump starts, then you're going to get another notification that your main fire pump has started. So at least you know immediately what's going on in your fire in your fire system, what's going on, and it will be able to help you to manage, coordinate that with the fire authority, exactly what's going on. And also have a situation where it can also tell you I showed you a picture of a giant tank before, where this has the capability to tell you that if indeed you do have a fire and you have half your tank left, it will be able to tell you how many more hours of firefighting do you have left based on the flow that it's actually going through the pump and through the system. So this is very, very good, and it helps you to manage and control firefighting and improves your firefighting capability. So you can configure this to, this is, the system is per site. You can have as many people have access to it with the email and text messages, and they can download it on their app, whether it's the chief fire officer, the maintenance guys, the director of engineering, whoever you want to have access to this, they will have the same, access to this information as well. So at least to help them make that decision. So I won't be able to go into too much details just because of time, but I just wanted to whet your appetite about what the latest innovation is that's been launched by PEERLESS Pump to complement fire pump offering. And that's the end of my presentation on an introduction of fire pumps, and finishing it up with remote monitoring.
Okay, great. So thanks a lot, Mr. Sonny. You gave us really informative information about firefighting pump and firefighting system, how it is important in buildings. Also latest innovation with remote monitoring for the fire pump inside the building. So it is really a nice feature and very nice innovation. We as JC YARED, we are proud of this partnership with PEERLESS Pump from USA. And again, thank you, Mr. Sonny, for joining us from America, from USA. And we hope we can also continue our successful partnership in the future in Lebanon and in the region as well. For our attendees, thank you. Thanks a lot for your presence today, and hope to see you again soon in the coming webinars. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone, and I hope that was very valuable, and we'll look forward to seeing you again. And on behalf of PEERLESS Pump and my colleague Wajdi, I want to say thank you for giving us the opportunities to partner with JC YARED to have this webinar, and we look forward to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Sonny.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.